All right, so the very last and probably the hardest knot is the sumac knot. Sumac. This is a very, very helpful diagram. This is how you actually have to move the needle to get it to look like this. So what it means is once all the knots are pulled through, that's the way that the string will lay. So you have to follow this way to make them lay this way. So I like to, when I'm going to the left, I just like them to be leaning to the left. It just helps me remember it more. So when I'm going to the left, I'm following this diagram here. And then when I'm going to the right, I'm following this diagram. So I'm actually going to keep this handy, like right by my loom, because even for me, someone that's now demonstrated this multiple times, it still is confusing for me. But when you're done, the sumac knot looks great. I did do a small example of it right here in the blue. As you can see, the effect is not super great. And then I did it with a really chunky string, this string that's kind of like the webbing. I just kept it really like closed up. It looks good. I don't love it though. So I recommend, I mean, if you like it, then use it. But I recommend, again, a medium string or a super duper thick string. It just holds up a little bit better for you. So this whole time that you're doing sumac, you're going to be going underneath the warp string every single time. And then you're going to actually be creating a loop that you'll weave through. So seems counterintuitive, but for our next string, we're going to go underneath, angled down to the right. So even though we're moving left, we're going down to the right. We're going, notice how my other hand is going to catch a loop. And then through that loop, I'm going to just weave to the left. I'm just pulling my needle straight to the left. Don't worry about what's going on. It looks like a hot mess, I know. And then just let the string do its thing. Woo! All right, let's watch that again because it's tricky. Again, I'm going to the left, but I'm starting underneath, going towards the bottom right corner. Pulling, pulling, pulling until I get a loop-de-loop. Now I'm going through that loop to the left, and I'm pulling through. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Not getting fussy with this little crazy figure eights I see. Pulling very gently. Bada boom! I mean, okay, you can't see it. See? Okay. Looks great. So I'm just going to continue to weave. Again, going underneath the string, pulling down to the right, pulling through the loop and weaving to the left. I'm going to do that on the remaining strings in this row. So now as I'm getting ready to go back the other way, you notice that all of of my sumac knots are tilted to the left. Now I want to make them tilt to the right, so I've got to do the opposite. Instead of going down to the right corner, I need to angle down to the left corner when I go underneath my string. Oops, sorry for bumping you. And then once I make my loop, I need to go through my loop. On the edge, it's going to be a little wonky because you're going from this one to this one. So this next one will be a better tell of it. So down to the left. I have the loop, and I'm going to go to the right since we're weaving to the right now. Ta-da! Let me do a couple more so you can see it. Angle to the left. Make the loop-de-loop, weave to the right, because I'm weaving to the right, even though I'm angling to the left. Remember, ignore the hot mess. Look at that. Look at how my knots are tilting. See how I kind of trip myself up? I got to keep telling myself, angle it to the left, angle it to the left, Miss Braun, angle it to the left. So I'll start to go a little bit tighter on this one just so you can see the difference. Between something that's a little bit looser and something that's a little bit tighter. So I'm just going to continue to work my way across. Remember, it's the opposite. Since I'm going to the right, I'm angling to the left and then weaving to the right. And just like all the other knots, I'm going to knot off the end. So something you can do after a sumac knot is just like if you have like a real braid in your hair, you can kind of pull and manipulate it a little bit so that it kind of like comes forward a little bit and becomes a little bit more three-dimensional. So when you look at it from the side, it's like super raised up. It has a lot of texture. Also just kind of like picking at it makes it a little bit more fuzzy. So if you needed a different texture, that's a good thing to do. So that is the hardest knot and you just did it. Woo!